Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 3rd Wednesday live stream for studentloanjustice.org. I am going to keep it short today, promise you. If you're new to the group, welcome. We're the oldest and largest and first, and in many ways only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. Tell everyone you know about this group. We're fighting for two things: the return of bankruptcy to student loans and the cancellation of all federally owned student loans. That first thing, bankruptcy, whether you would ever or never have to file, that's not important. We've got to have the threat of bankruptcy back on our side in order to ultimately see any sort of meaningful, actual student loan cancellation. That's just kind of the way the political dynamics are, guys. Joe Biden is not going to cancel loans meaningfully unless and until the threat of bankruptcy is back on the table on our side. As the founding fathers called for, the head of the power to declare war and raise an army in the Constitution, by the way. So we're glad you found us. If you have any questions or comments, and if I can see them on Facebook or Twitter, let me know. And I apologize, guys, but I have to start out with yet another plea for fundraising, donations. So if you go to studentloanjustice.org/donate.html, currently we need about 41 people to donate $20 or more to see us through this week that we're in here now. Our expenses have gone up, and this will be true for the next 2 months because of our increased email expense. So come on, guys, just please don't leave us hanging, and just please help out so that I don't have to keep going on about it. Fundraising is very difficult for us, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that's enough. Okay, well, one last thing. Please get a shirt, get a hat. We still need to sell 7 more shirts. Lisa on sale in Los Angeles. We need to sell 7 more shirts and 1 more hat in order for the people who order. And the hats are very cool, distressed. That's on purpose, by the way. In order for the shirts and hats to actually be shipped. So please order. All right, done with that. Seen some pretty interesting articles in the paper right now, on the internet right now. Some surprisingly pro-cancellation pieces. Those are relatively few and far between, because the student loan swamp, in other words, the unelected bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., the lawyers, the loan companies, all the bad guys, they are overwhelming the media with just nonsense. And it's kind of funny at this point at how furious they are fighting. Like, I think it's backfiring on them. And make no mistake, guys, the lending system has failed. It's toast. It's finished. You don't need to be suffering in silence over your student loans. You don't need to be sitting there feeling guilty with your tail in between your legs. And the thing you really shouldn't be doing is sitting there waiting, watching, and worrying. You should be helping us fight. That's what we need to win this. The bad guys want you sitting there waiting, watching, worrying, and doing nothing. And when they try to turn the lending system back on, paying. They want you paying. They want you quiet. That's what they want. Don't give them the pleasure, guys. This is the most blatantly unconstitutional and most catastrophically failed lending scam, the student loan scam. There's a book by that name, if I recall, written in 2009. This is a student loan scam that none of us have to put up with, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't wreck this lending system. This lending scam, this loan scam, the student loan scam, tried to wreck us. So this is all bad on the people in Washington, D.C. It has nothing to do with you, your character, your morals, your value as a person, and your relative worth to society. No. This is not a bad borrower deal, guys. This is a bad lending system. We don't have to take it. So you should be proud to be in this group. So the most important thing where we are at right now is we've got a great bill to fight for, S-2598, in the Senate right now. We're a fiercely nonpartisan group. We hate Republicans. We hate Democrats almost equally. We probably hate Republicans a little more. But it's kind of a good cop, bad cop thing. Having said that, S2598 has 2 Republicans on the bill and only 1 Democrat, the sponsor, Dick Durbin. So the bill, at least on paper, has all the Republican support it needs to sail through the Senate. And quite frankly, my pretty well studied and my best guess is that the bill, when it is voted on by the Senate, will probably pass 65, 70 votes to 30 or even more, because there simply is no good argument against returning bankruptcy protections to student loans. And thankfully, and people who have been on this group for any length of time should appreciate the fact that almost all resistance to bankruptcy has gone away, guys. So we're in a perfect position where not only is bankruptcy the most important thing, it's also the thing from which nearly all opposition has gone away. Now, the bad guys are still fighting tooth and nail behind the scenes to keep bankruptcy gone. Make no mistake about that at all. But in terms of the public conversation, almost nobody with a name and a face is willing to go on record opposing the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans, because they know the jig is up and fair is fair, and returning bankruptcy is, compared to canceling all of the loans, at least politically speaking, it's the rational middle ground. That is the middle ground. You know, Dick Durbin is a pretty quiet senator. He's not a guy who goes chasing after the cameras. He's not like a Ted Cruz or other senators who just love to be interviewed. Lindsey Graham. He's not that. He's kind of a low-key guy, and I appreciate that for one. But the bill is in a perfect position, and what we do, what you and I do between now and October 1st will absolutely tell the tale. This bill would not be around but for the people on this group. I kid you not. We would not be talking about student loan cancellation by executive order, but for the people on this group and the petition that over 1 million people signed that we started in March 2020. You know, it wasn't until I think September 2020 that Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer embraced the concept, and we're actually not super thrilled at how they did that. The up to $50,000 cap is nonsense. It's a trick. And they managed to make this a partisan issue where it really should not be a partisan issue. Over half of all student loan borrowers are either Republican or independent, by the way. And if you go to bit.ly/mostGOP, that's bit.ly/mostGOP, you can see the numbers for yourself. We're not a bunch of liberals. And we're definitely not a bunch of kids, by the way. Most student loan borrowers are over the age of 35 versus under the age of 35. But I digress. Our bill is in a perfect position. And right now we are hitting, this week, for example, we're hitting key Republican senators. So these are people like Marco Rubio and Ron Johnson here in Wisconsin, where I am. And believe me, I'm busting my ass trying to get through to him. And I hope everybody else is there. Everybody out there is also. But the most important thing that I'm going to say to anybody, and if you're new to the group, you need to hear this. We need you helping. This is not a watch, wait, and worry and hope it happens group. This is a working, fighting group. You know, I don't like to sit here and, talk to the headlines of the day, although we kind of have to do that sometimes. We would much rather make the news. This is all between us, you and me and everybody on this group. It's between us and Congress, and it's between us and the people who run the Department of Education's federal student loan program, and it's between us and the president. Those three things, Department of Education, the president, Congress, it's between us and them. And the media, don't get me wrong, the media can and should be helping us. And we've had very good success in the media. I think since we started the petition, we've been featured in Newsweek and interviewed on Fox News and New York Times, all that stuff. We've done all that stuff. We've gone through the round, Guardian. We've done that whole thing, and we will continue to do that whole thing. But we can't count on the media to solve this for us, guys. This truly is between us and the president and his people, the Department of Education, and Congress. And it's hard to say which is more important. I think Congress probably is, because executive orders are great, and Joe Biden does owe us not only cancellation of loans, but Joe Biden can also order the department to stop opposing student loan borrowers in bankruptcy court. So we need them for that. That's the Department of Education. But we've never been this close to having an actual bill passed by an actual Congress that actually solves this problem, or at least puts us one real, not fake, real step forward on the path to getting these loans handled. So we're focusing on Congress right now. And by the way, I mentioned Ron Johnson, I mentioned Marco Rubio. But honestly, if you live in any of the southern states, if you live in many of the states, like over a third of the states, if you live in Ohio, if you live in Michigan, if you live in South Dakota, if you live in, I'm going to say Nevada, I'm going to say the whole entire South. Did I already say that? Okay, the whole South plus all those states, New Hampshire. You need to be pushing your senator as hard as you possibly can to co-sponsor and or publicly support S2598. Remember, S2598. S2598. Commit that to memory. One more time. Last time. Probably not the last time. S2598. This is the bill. And the Democrats have control of Congress right now, guys. They have essentially until the first week in October to do what they are going to do. Now, we are the largest untethered voting bloc in U.S. history, guys. There are 42 million. You're probably a distressed borrower. And maybe up to this point, you've been suffering on your own. Well, I'm here to tell you, there are 42 million distressed borrowers in the country. That includes private loans. But just on federal loans, there's probably around 38 million out of 43.2 million distressed federal student loan borrowers. People are losing sleep over their loans. They were never going to be able to repay, even before COVID. So you have no idea the size of the muscle that we have to flex is. I don't think the grammar on that was correct, but you have no idea how strong we are and how strong we can be. We on this group, at least on paper, we have over 2% of all student loan borrowers in our little group. 3 or 4 million people. That's a huge number. But I'm telling you guys, I'm seeing how things are unfolding, and I'm telling you that the one key missing factor is us, the people, actually getting our hands dirty, actually fighting this battle. So remember, again, I'm going to say it one more time, studentloanjustice.org, do our daily actions. That's kind of the minimum that you can be doing. And it's easy stuff. It'll take literally a minute to do one day worth of our daily actions. But do more than this. If you live in the South, if you live in any of those states that I just mentioned, you need to go above and beyond and push your senator to either co-sponsor or both, either or both, co-sponsor and or both, publicly support S2598. Okay, there, I said it again. You have no idea how important that is. And, maybe you have a hard time getting through to your senator or whatever. Go to your local media and tell them to report on S2598. Tell them that we have people all over their coverage area who have very compelling stories to tell, and they'd be very happy to share their stories if there was interest in doing an interview with them. We can help with that. Give them our contact info. Our phone number is 202-594-1120. My name is Alan Collins. Give them my email address, Alan, ALAN, at studentloanjustice.org. You set them up, guys, and we'll knock them down. But it's got to start with you. It's got to start with you. And if we don't get this bill passed before October, well, number one, the Democrats are screwed. They're gonna lose control of the House for sure, and who knows, maybe even the Senate. There's enough pissed off. The 42 million distressed student loan borrowers are not going to be thrilled at all. In fact, right now, I'd say they're pretty much furious with Biden, and they're not happy with Democrats. That's a lot of voters, guys. That's a lot of voters. So if the Democrats don't want to be annihilated, they will pass this bill. But guys, again, the missing ingredient is you. You've got to own this problem because these are your loans. This is your livelihood. And we've never had a window of opportunity like the one we are right now in for the next 8 weeks, 7.5 weeks. So come on, guys. I don't know. I would beg you if I thought it would make a difference, but you got to step up. So as I said, I'm going to keep it very short here tonight. If I can see your comments, I will happily respond to them. There's a lot going on in the news right now, but again, guys, we're not a watch, wait, and worry group. We don't sit there and post every student loan article that's written and banner it back and forth. That's bullshit. That's a waste of time. 95% of the media being generated right now about student loans is nonsense, and it's meant to distract you. We don't do that. We like to generate the news. We like to make the news. You know, we've been featured a top story on 60 Minutes. We've been on, just a couple months ago, we were on Fox Television Live. We've been in The Guardian. Just over the past few months, we've been in The Guardian, in the New York Times, in the Chronicle, many other places, Epoch Times, so both left media and right media. We're very happy to do that. And when you set them up, we will knock them down. So just remember that. So, okay. Sorry about that. I'm looking for your comments now. I promise you, I'm looking for your comments. Okay. I see one already, on Twitter. Doug, hey, is here and listening. Hey, Doug in Indiana. Indiana, also very important state. Indiana is underwater on their state budget vis-a-vis student loans. In other words, the people of Indiana owe more than the entire Indiana state budget, and by a lot, on student loans. At the same time, there are senators in Indiana like Mike Brown who are fighting against us, the borrowers, against their own people, against Hoosiers. And they ought to be ashamed. And someone from Indy Star or maybe the South Bend Tribune, some reporter needs to ask Mike Brown where he stands on S25, S2598. Please commit that to memory. Very important state. Hey, Doug. And Doug has been way more than pulling his weight, by the way. I've been stunned and thrilled with all that I've been seeing Doug doing. He is a warrior, and we salute him. And we salute everybody out there who's fighting this battle. And I think Doug and everybody else here on the live stream tonight that I can see, and I'm looking for you right now, Terry Dodd and many others. These people are doing the hard work, and it's not that hard. They are doing the grind, the daily grind, the perseverant grind that everybody needs to be helping us do. Can you imagine if even 10% of the people on our group were doing our daily actions? We would blow up every phone line in Washington, D.C., and we would overwhelm every Twitter account of everybody who we target, and we target people in a very smart way every single day. We would overwhelm their Twitter accounts every single day for the next 2 months. Can you imagine 100,000 retweets on stuff that we did? Could you imagine 100,000 phone calls going to maybe 3 or 4, a few senators every day in Washington, D.C.? Can you imagine? Washington, D.C. has never seen anything like that. Twitter, well, maybe Twitter has. But 100,000 retweets is super special, by the way. That would probably make headlines quite frequently because that usually doesn't happen. It never happens with student loans. Maybe with Taylor Swift and like Kim Kardashian, it happens frequently, but not here. And certainly not in Washington. So, see, we have a few comments here. I'm going to probably rattle through them that would probably make headlines quite quickly. Hey, Terry Dodd's here with us tonight. Terry Dodd says, both sides can't even sit down without a donut pillow right now because we're too busy kicking their ass. You know, hopefully you ain't seen nothing yet, Terry. You know, on any given day, I see several hundred people doing our stuff. But can you imagine 100,000 people doing our stuff? It's entirely possible. Of all the things we cannot control about this student loan scam, the one thing we can control is how hard we fight. So, hey, Brian Landis says, I have to deal with Cruz and Cornyn. Fun. Cornyn is on our side, Brian. And that's a very rare thing that I just said. There are a handful of Republicans who are on our side. Ted Cruz is not one of those guys. But, I say that's all the more reason to push him. If the Dallas Morning News, the Austin American Statesman, or the Houston Chronicle ask Ted Cruz, Senator Cruz, where do you stand on S-2598? The bill returns constitutional bankruptcy protections to student loans and holds the colleges financially accountable for discharged loans. Where do you fall on the spectrum, Senator? Do you support this bill or do you not? Ted Cruz, terrible Ted Cruz, should be very strongly compelled to support the bill publicly. I kid you not, because there really is no argument. Oh no, we have to keep bankruptcy God from these loans. That's ridiculous. I don't think Ted Cruz would even go there. I think he might even support the bill. We've seen Republicans like Matt Gaetz in the House support it. We've seen Josh Hawley, John Cornyn, like I just said earlier at the top. John Katko. We've seen people from the American Enterprise Institute, from Cato, from some very disgusting, swampy places even, and Republicans, and we're a non-partisan group. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, you're very welcome here. But we've seen some very deep, dark, conservative people swing around to being on our side. So these next 8 weeks are just so important, guys. You have no idea. I don't have any latest word, Gordon, that I can share with you on S-2598. All I can tell you is that I feel very good. But much, if not most, depends on how hard we fight. That I can tell you for sure. Right now, I'd say we're not fighting nearly hard enough. Right now, the people in Congress aren't really feeling us enough. And that all starts with you. You've got 2 senators. You may live in the South. You may live in any of those other states. It really doesn't matter. You have 2 senators, and you can be pushing them regardless of who they are. Maybe what I would say is if you live in the South or any of those other states, which I won't mention again, but you can rewind and hear them for yourself, push harder. We have to push all of our senators. But if you live in any of those key places where maybe there's a Republican senator who's up for re-election, or just you have a Republican senator, period, hit them harder. And if you need any help formulating a conservative argument, coming up with what to say, go to our meeting, go to bit.ly, bit.ly/4 Republicans, all one word, FOR Republicans, 4 Republicans. bit.ly/4 Republicans, and just read that a few times, and you'll be in good shape. You'll know what to say to a Republican. Hey, Brian Landa asks, is Tucker Carlson still on our side? I believe he is, Brian. Even before the pandemic, Tucker Carlson, of all people, was acknowledging, along with a Trump appointee, Wayne Johnson, who ran the federal lending program, Tucker Carlson was on our side. He's like, if you don't want socialism, you need to be with this guy. You need to be fighting against this lending scam. Is basically what Tucker Carlson said. And you can see it for yourself at bit.ly, bit.ly/hear it from Tucker. It's incredibly important interview, which just goes to show how far we've come over the 17 years that we've been doing this. Way too long. Brian, I have every reason to believe that Tucker Carlson still is on our side. I would be stunned and shocked if Tucker joined the sort of rabble down the little swamp rats underneath him at Fox News who constantly wag their fingers at the borrowers. I have every reason to believe that Tucker Carlson is still on our side, put it that way. And knock on wood, I hope to have. Anyways, I can't say. All I'm going to say, guys, is Republicans should be on our side. Many are, but that is where this battle is won primarily. We're still pushing Democrats, guys. As I said, this is between us and Congress, between us and Department of Education, between us and the president. So we are pushing Joe Biden on a weekly basis as well. And you'll see all of this stuff in where? in our daily actions. So yeah, guys, I'm going to leave it there at that, but I appreciate all the questions. I'm sorry if I missed any. I probably did. I will be back on Thursday. Ed will be back on Wednesday. It's going to be gung-ho relentless. Balls, pedal to the metal. Balls to the wall, or whatever they say. For the next 8 weeks, guys, please do your part. I beg you. So good luck. Godspeed. I'll see you on Thursday. Ed will be here tomorrow. Or no, I'll see you on Friday. Ed will be here tomorrow. And God bless everyone. Let's get this done. And please donate, as I said.